Hi, this is Marloomz Creations, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Grinch on your Rainbow Loom. For today, you're going to need your loom set up in the staggered configuration with the middle row above the other two, and you're going to need a few colors. You're going to need red, about 64 bands, and for the green, you're going to need 46, about 10 black bands, 50 white, 4 yellow, and for the yellow, the one that goes on the eye was just a regular yellow, and for his belt part, it's a metallic. So you can use plain yellow or metallic. So again, it's 64 red, 46 green, 50 white, 4 yellow, and 10 black. And for his eyes, I used on this tutorial, on this creation, I used small pony beads. And this is what yours will look like if you are using bands for the eyes. So if you don't have the pony beads, that's okay, you can just use the bands. So let's get started. First, we're going to begin by making the Grinch's arms, and I have one already set up. And this is one arm, and then I'm going to do one with you, and you can loop it, and you will make the other one. So you're going to grab 2 red bands and place it doesn't matter what peg, on any peg. And then place another 2, and you're going to do that 4 times. And then after you have placed 4 sets of red, you're going to switch to 2 white bands, and then switch to 2 green. So you have 4 red, a set of white and green. And then on this one, you're going to take a single green band and wrap it around that peg 4 times. And then once you have done that, you will take your hook and reach in where the cap band is and grab the bottom 2 green bands and loop it forward. And then reach in, loop the white bands forward, and the red, and then the same on this one. If you've placed these down as well, you're just going to loop the other set of arms. And once you have made both sets of the Grinch's arms, you can remove them. And you can place them to the side. So now the next step is we are going to start the body of the Grinch. And once we have made the body, we are going to loop it, and then we are going to remove it from our loom, make the face, and add the body to the face. So it's going to be 2 things. So let's begin the body. Take 2 green bands, and you're going to place it on these 2 pegs right here. And then take 2 white to the left and to the right. And that's the shoulder of the Grinch. And in the middle, we are going to go down 3 times with white. And on the sides, we're going to go down 3 times with red. And this is 2 bands. All my creations are 2 bands unless I say otherwise. So that's 3 sets of red. And now we're going to grab 4 black bands and 2 of the metallic yellow or just plain yellow. And you're going to take one single black band and wrap it around this peg only 2 times, and then another set and wrap it around that peg 2 times again. And then on this one, the same thing, a single wrapped around twice, and again a single wrapped around twice. And in the middle, take your yellow or your metallic yellow and wrap it around 2 times, and again wrap it around 2 times. And once you have done that, then you can switch to your black bands, and you're going to place 2 on here, 2 in the middle, and 2 on this one. And now we are going to switch back to red bands, to here, 2 on the other side, and in the middle we're going to go down 2 times with white. So we did red, red, and 2 whites right here. And now we're going to take another set of white and place it on these 2. And these 2. Another set of 2 white bands. And you're going to go from the middle peg onto that peg. And the same thing. Now switch to your green bands, because we're going to make the legs now. And you're going to go down 3 times with green on both sides. 1, 2, 3 on that side, and 3 on this side. Switch to your white bands again. Place a set here and a set here. Switch to your red bands. Place red here and 2 red here. So for the legs, it's 3 green on both sides, a white and a red. And then take your hook and you're going to take a single band and wrap it around your hook 4 times, and then take 2 red bands and transfer all those bands onto the double band, and then take your hook and grab the loop and place that on this bottom peg right here. And if you want to do it on the loom, you can borrow the middle. You can just take the 2 red bands and wrap a single around that peg 4 times. And then once you've done that, you can push the cap band back, grab the bottom 2, and loop it forward. So that could be easier. And then you take it off and you place it on this last peg. So we just added an extra little piece on the bottom to where his feet are. Now we're going to do the same over here. Grab 2 white bands. Actually, you're going to grab 2 sets. So you're going to put 2 there and another 2 right here. And they're not connected. So 2 here, 2 here. Take a single, wrap it around 4 times. Actually, wrap it around 3 times. So wrap it around 3 and 3. And then once you've done that with the cap, you're going to reach in and just loop them. And the same on this one. And then remove it. And place the first set on this peg right here. And then the other on this peg. and that's going to be the side of his coat. So now we can add his arms. You take the arms and you're going to add them on this peg right here, and then the other one on here. And we are going to add the triangle bands now. So the first triangle bands, once you have added the arms, is a single white placed on these three right here, and then a red band, a single, placed on these three. So we place a white, a red. We're skipping the one that has the bands on, the little cap bands. We're skipping this row, and we're going to the next row and placing a red and then another red. We're going to add a triangle band after once we are looping. So it's time to loop. Take your hook and you're going to reach in on the bottom here and push back and just grab the two bottom bands and loop it forward. And you can do the same on here. Grab the bottom two and loop forward. Take your hook and just loop forward. And you can stop at this peg on both sides. And the same thing here, just loop forward. And now when we get to this peg right here and this peg, there's two sets of bands. There's the bottom set, and then there's a top two white. You're going to reach in and grab just the top two sets of the white, and you're going to bring it to the middle peg right here. And the same here, you're going to reach in here, and you're not taking these, you're taking this set right here. So reach in, grab the top two, and bring it, I think I took too many, did I? No. And bring it to the middle. And then you're going to re-enter these two pegs and grab the bottom white and loop that forward. And the same here, the bottom white, and loop it forward. And then you're going to reach into the middle over here, and you're going to push back all the bands and just grab the bottom two white bands and loop forward. Then reach in here, push back all these bands, and just grab the red and loop forward. And if you want to push down the triangle bands, it makes it a little easier. Reach in here, grab just the red, loop forward, the white, and loop forward. Push, and make sure when you're looping that you're pushing the triangle band back when you enter each peg. So I push the triangle band back, loop the black forward, and this one, and again pushing this back, and this one. So this is why I didn't add the cap band. So what I do here is, once we have looped all three bands that are black, we're going to take our hook and we are going to grab those bands that we wrapped around twice and bring them up. So there should be two sets. There's one, two, and we brought them up. And the same on this side. Take your hook, and that was one set, pull it over, and the other set. And the same with the yellow, bring it up, and bring it up. And now what I do is, there is two sets, the top and the bottom. Right here is the bottom and here's the top. I take my hook and I remove just the top two, and see how the bottom two bands of the black are left on the peg. I take off the top two, take off just the top two, again only the top two, and I leave it on my hook, and then I grab the single black band and I place a triangle band. And then I, one by one, replace that band. Then I replace this band to this peg and this band to this peg, and that way we can add the triangle band. So once you have done that, you take your hook and you reach in here, pushing the triangle band back, grab the red band and loop it forward, loop the white, loop the red, again pushing the triangle band back. So we looped these two. I'm going to loop this one, push this back, loop it here, loop the middle, loop here. And now for the arms, you just reach in, push all the bands back, and then you should just see the two white bands, and you loop that to the middle, and the same here. And then you reach in here, push all the white bands back, and grab the two green and loop forward. So now what I do is I grab a spare hook and I just place the green bands on my hook, and I take the Grinch off of the loom little by little. I don't yank it because I don't want it to stretch my bands. And then the next step is to make the Grinch's face and the hat. So this is your body of your Grinch. And you can place it to the side, and we're going to make the hat and face now. So for the hat and face, you're going to grab your red bands and your green bands. And some white bands too for the rim of the hat. So the first thing is you're going to grab a single red band and place it on this peg right here. This one. And then another single and place it from here to here. Then another single and place it on those two, and another single on those two. And then another single on this one, another single on this one. So these are all single. And on this peg right here, the second peg, you're going to take a single and you're going to stretch it to the fourth peg. So on this peg to the fourth, you're skipping these three and stretching it on there. So now we're going to switch to using two red bands. These are all singles. Two red bands and place two here. And two here. So we place two and two. And then you're going to place two here. Two here. Two there, and then two more reds. And then we are going to switch to our white bands for the rim of the hat. Take your white bands and place them on those two pegs. And again, from the middle peg to this peg right here. Then switch to your green bands and go down 2 times using 2 green bands. And then turn in. So go down twice and turn in. Same thing on here. And then you turn in, and then for the middle, just fill in the middle with green. Now you're going to take your hook, and actually you're going to take 2 white bands and place it there, and another 2 in right here, and they're not connected. This is just for the rim of the hat. And then you're going to take a single, so these were 2 and 2, take a single and wrap it around that peg 4 times. And then the same here. Now for my Grinch, I only wrapped it around 3 times to make it a looser look. You can do 4 or 3, doesn't matter. So I'm going to actually remove 1 loop and just make it wrapped around 3 times. But it doesn't really matter. And then once you have done that, you're going to take your hook, push back the cat band, and just loop. And the same thing here, and just loop. And then you can remove them. And this one goes on this peg right here, and then the other on this side. Now for the Grinch's eyes, I'm going to be using small pony beads, and I threaded them onto a single yellow band using a piece of dental floss. And if you do not have pony beads, you are going to take a single red band and wrap it around your hook 4 times. And then you're going to grab a single yellow band and take those red bands and transfer them onto that single yellow. And then you're going to do that again. So you're going to take another red band, the same thing, and wrap it around 4 times. And grab a yellow. This is metallic, but this is just an example. Grab your yellow band and transfer them onto that single yellow band. And that would be both of your Grinch's eyes. And then what you would do from here is you would take the loop and you would twist it, so to make it like an X, and take your hook and go back through that loop. Then take this loop, put it onto your hook, and twist. So you grab the loop, twist, and go through that loop. And that is one eye. I'm going to do that again. Grab one of the loops, twist, put your hook through it. Take this loop, put it onto your hook, take the loop, twist, put your hook through. And those are both of your eyes. And then once you have done that, you're going to take that and transfer that onto a single green band. And how I do it is I grab the 2 bands at a time, and I slide it on, and that's one eye. And then I grab the other 2 yellow bands, and that's the other set. So now I have both sets of the eyes, and I would place it right here on these 2 pegs, and I would separate them, and then open the band in the middle and place the first band above the peg. One is below, one is above. And that is your Grinch's eyes. But for today I'm going to be using the small pony beads, and it's the same thing. Once you have threaded your bead onto your band, you take your hook, grab the loop, twist, put through, and the same thing, twist, and then you have the set of your eyes again, and you transfer that onto a single green band. And the same on this one. And you separate them, and again open that space, and one band goes above. Now we're going to add the body, but before we add the body, we are going to add some triangle bands or horizontal bands on the hat. So you're going to take a single red band and you're going to wrap it around itself twice and place it on these two pegs right here. And then you're going to do that again, a single, wrap it around itself and place it on these two pegs. Again, a single band, wrap it around itself and place it on these three right here. Then grab two red bands. Do not wrap them around or twist them, just place two red bands on these three pegs. Now to make your Grinch have that fur, what I did was I took two green bands and I placed it on two pegs like that, and I took another green band and I went with my hook underneath both those green bands and I created with a single band a slip knot like that. Actually, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Take two green bands or three, however many you want. I'm going to just do two. And then you're going to take the two bands, grab another single, and just create a slip knot over those two like that. And so you should have two on, and then this piece right here goes on to the hook. And then you have these hanging out. So if you want him to look a lot hairier, then instead of two, you use more than two. So for the next one, I'll use three to show you. So I took three bands, and then you grab a single, and you pull it through, and you create the slip knot. And then what you do is you take that loop, the one that we tied it off with, and you place it on here, and you tie it around only 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 1. And then you do the same on this peg, and this peg. So it's just 4 pegs. And it's however much fur, kitty fur you want. And so I'm going to do another set. I will do 3. Create the slip knot. Place it on this peg and wrap it around 3. Now you can wrap it around 4 times if you want. It just makes it a little tight for looping, and I don't want your bands to break. If you're an experienced loomer and you know how to stretch your band so that they don't break, you can wrap it around 4. I do it 3 times so that it's not so tight. So now let's place the other set on these 2 pegs. So again, 3 bands with a single. Pull it through. And then the final set. And then in the end, we just take a scissor and we just trim them to the size that we want. So now we're going to also take a single band. Once you have placed this one, and these 2, take a single and place a triangle band on these 3. And that is that. And then as far as the rim of the hat, I use a pony bead, and that's how I cap this off. So if you have any pony beads, a large one, you can go grab that now. And if you don't have a pony bead, that's okay. You can take a single band and wrap it around your hook 4 times, and then another single band and wrap it around 4 times. And then grab a single red and transfer the white bands onto that single red. And then you grab the other loop, and that would be like that little poof on the top of the hat. And if you want the white band to look a little better, what you could do is take the band and put them together instead, the two white bands, and then wrap them around your hook 4 times. And that way they're kind of bunched up together. And then you can take your red band and transfer them onto that single, and grab the loop, and see that looks a little bit better. And then you would take this band right here and you would place it on this peg right here, and that would be your little bead instead of, if you don't have a bead. So that's what you, but I'm gonna get a pony bead and show you how to do that instead. So I have a large pony bead, and what you do is you grab a single red band, and my pony beads fit onto my hook, and if yours don't, that's okay. They're big enough to slide the band through, and you just pull the band through the bead like this, and then you take your band and place it on that peg right there. And now we can add the body to the Grinch. Your body of your Grinch, and you're going to take the 2 loops, well, the 4, 2 and 2, and you're going to grab them and place it on this hook right here, this peg right here. And then you're going to reach in and grab the first 2 green bands that you see, and mine are being pulled to the middle, and then the other 2 are going to the right, and then the last 2 to the left. So once you have looped that, you can then loop the middle here, and don't loop ahead of me because the white bands have to go to the middle over here. So reach in here, and we have all these bands, and you're going to push them all back and just grab the bottom 2. So we're grabbing just these bottom 2 and bring them up to the peg above. And the same here, push back all the bands. You're pushing everything, this whole bunch right here, and you're just grabbing the bottom 2. Just grab the bottom 2 and loop forward, and then reach in here, and there's that eye band. So you want to make sure you push that eye band back, push everything back except for the 2 bottom green, and loop forward. The same here, push everything back and grab the 2 bottom green and loop that forward. And so that the rim of the hat looks like it's a continuous line and that the green is not showing, there is a little trick, and don't get annoyed with me, that I do. I'm going to just take off just this top green part right here and put it on and leave it on my hook, and you're going to remove the first 2 white bands right here. So it should look like this, and you're just going to place the green on there, and you could even do it by hand, and then replace the white. So now the white is over the green. It just looks a lot better when we loop it. And the same here. If we leave the green, it just shows and it doesn't look like it's part of the hat. So you can take it off, put it on your finger. You can even do it by hand. You just remove just the top 2 slowly. Place the green. Take your hook and replace those 2 white bands. And that's the only annoying part. And now you're going to reach in, and you are going to, you're aiming for this white band right here. So you're going to reach in, push all the bands back, and just grab those 2 white bands and bring it to the peg in the middle. I'm sorry, actually loop the green part first. So right here where this little this green band is, push that back, loop the green, then the white, because you want the white to show first. So you loop the middle and then the white. And then this one right here, you're going to reach in. So we looped the middle first, and then we brought the white to the middle. And then reach in here, grab the white, and bring it to the middle. I'm sorry for all this confusion. Now re-enter these two pegs right here, and push back and just grab the red and loop that forward. And the same here, just grab the bottom red and loop forward. Reach in here, push everything back, and you just grabbing the two bottom red and you're looping forward. So now we're going to reach here and you're pushing these triangle bands back. You grab on the bottom bands and you're looping them forward. The same here. So we loop this one to this and this one to this. Push the triangle band back, grab the bottom red and loop forward. You can loop this one forward, and if it feels thin, it's okay. Your bands didn't break. Remember, we only placed one band here. Push this back, grab the single, and loop forward. Grab this band, push back, grab that single, and drag it to this peg right here. So we pulled this one to this one, then push these back, loop that forward, loop this forward. And when you're grabbing the band, you're pushing this middle band back. So you push back and grab the bottom and loop forward. So we looped all these, and then we have this one. Now you're going to grab a single red band, and you're going to go in this peg right here and grab the single and pull it through. And before you make the slip knot, you're going to make the slip knot underneath this little bead right here. So pull up, go through, grab that single band, and pull it through. And then you create the slip knot. And now you can take the Grinch off of the loom, and all we have to do is trim those little hairy pieces that are on his face. So this is what ours looks like, and you just take the eyes and you pop them through and you adjust them. And this is the hat. And what I do is I open that little gap and I place a slip knot behind. Now if you want the hat to lean to the side, what I did was I take my hook and I go through the side over here, I go through some bands, and then I take that single loop and I pull it through. And if you want, you can just wrap it around the band a couple times. Mine is sticking up funny today, I don't know why. But if you just want it to stay like that, you can do that too. For his cheek, what you do is you trim them to the shape that you want them to be. So I just take my scissor and I pull. And you just grab them and trim it to the desired length that you want. And you can pull on the band so that it's a little more hidden. And again, it's just the length that you would like the whiskers or the fur to be. And that is how you create your Grinch on your loom. And if you want, you take his feet and you just twist it to the side, and that's his shoe. And there's your Grinch. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.